You know that feeling when you realize you've made a terrible mistake? Not the kind where you forget your keys or say the wrong thing at a party. The kind where your entire life just changed, and there's no going back. That's exactly what happened to Claire Monroe on a Tuesday night in Chicago. She was a 32-year-old accountant. Boring job. Quiet life. She liked it that way. Her office was on the 14th floor of a glass building downtown. She worked late most nights because she didn't have much waiting at home. Just a small apartment and a cat named Cooper. But that Tuesday, something was different. Claire noticed the numbers didn't match. She was going through the books for Meridian Imports, a shipping company that moved cargo through the port. On paper, everything looked normal. But Claire had been doing this for 12 years. She could spot a pattern that didn't fit. And this pattern was screaming at her. $3 million had moved through 6 different accounts in 2 weeks. The invoices were fake. The shipment records didn't exist. Someone was laundering money. Claire sat back in her chair and stared at her computer screen. She should report it. That was the right thing to do. But something in her gut told her this wasn't just some corporate tax scheme. This was bigger. And bigger meant dangerous. She saved the files to a USB drive and shut down her computer. Then she made her second mistake. She sent an email to her supervisor flagging the discrepancies. Professional. By the book. Exactly what she was supposed to do. She walked out of the office at 9:47 p.m., took the elevator down, and stepped into the cold Chicago night. The street was quieter than usual. Claire pulled her coat tighter and started walking toward the parking garage 2 blocks away. That's when she felt it. Someone was watching her. She didn't turn around. She walked faster. Her heels clicked against the pavement, echoing between the tall buildings. Then she heard another set of footsteps. Heavier. Steady. Her heart started pounding. Claire turned the corner quickly and ducked into the parking garage. She pulled out her keys and practically ran to her car, a used Honda on the 3rd level. She got in, locked the doors, and sat there for a moment, breathing hard. "You're being paranoid," she whispered to herself. But when she looked in the rearview mirror, she saw him. A man in a black coat stood at the entrance of the garage, lit by the overhead lights. He wasn't moving, just watching. Claire started the car with shaking hands and reversed out of the spot too fast. She didn't look back as she sped down the ramp and out onto the street. She told herself she was overreacting. But deep down she knew. She had just stepped into something she didn't understand. And someone already knew. The next morning, Claire walked into her office like nothing had happened. She smiled at the receptionist, made coffee in the break room, sat down at her desk. But her hands were still shaking. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that man standing in the parking garage. At 10:15 a.m., her supervisor called her into his office. Martin Cross was a soft-spoken man in his 50s. He had worked at the firm for 20 years and never caused trouble. But when Claire walked in, he wouldn't look at her. "Claire, sit down," he said quietly. She sat. Martin folded his hands on his desk. "About the email you sent last night." "The Meridian account," Claire said. I know what you found." His voice was tight. "And I need you to drop it." Claire blinked. "What? Drop it. Don't dig any further. Don't send any more emails." "Martin, there's $3 million moving through fake accounts. That's illegal. We don't have to do anything." He finally looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Fear. "Claire, I'm saying this because I like you. Let it go." She stared at him. "Are you seriously telling me to ignore this?" He didn't answer. Claire stood up. "If you won't report it, I will." "Don't." Martin's voice cracked. "Please. You don't know who you're dealing with." "Then tell me." He shook his head and looked away. Claire left his office, her heart pounding again. She went back to her desk, but she couldn't focus. Everything felt wrong. At lunch, she decided to go for a walk to clear her head. She stepped outside into the cold air and started walking with no real destination in mind. That's when the car pulled up beside her. A black SUV with tinted windows. It rolled to a stop, and the back door opened. Claire froze. A man stepped out. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with dark hair brushed back and a sharp jawline. He wore an expensive black suit that fit him like it was made for his body. His eyes were pale gray, cold and unreadable. He looked at her the way someone looks at a problem they need to solve. "Miss Monroe," he said. His voice was low and controlled. Claire's stomach dropped. "Who are you?" "My name is Dominic Kane." He didn't smile. "Get in the car." "Excuse me?" "You flagged an account last night. That account belongs to me. Her mouth went dry. I don't know what you're talking about, she lied. Dominic tilted his head slightly. Yes, you do. He stepped closer, and Claire realized how much bigger he was than her. Not threatening, yet, but the message was clear. I'm not getting in your car, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Then we'll have this conversation right here on the street. His eyes didn't leave hers. Your choice. People walked past them. Cars drove by. No one looked twice. Claire felt trapped. She glanced at the open car door, then back at him. Every instinct screamed at her to run. But something told her running wouldn't help. 5 minutes, Dominic said. That's all I'm asking. Claire swallowed hard. Then she got in the car. The door closed behind her, and suddenly the world outside felt very far away. Dominic slid into the seat across from her. The driver pulled into traffic smoothly, like this was routine. Claire's hands were clenched in her lap. You're not going to hurt me, she said. It wasn't a question. She was trying to convince herself. Dominic studied her for a long moment. No. Then what do you want? I want to know what you plan to do with the information you found. Claire's pulse was racing, but she forced herself to meet his eyes. I plan to report it. To who? The authorities. The SEC, whoever handles financial fraud. Dominic didn't react. He just watched her. That would be a mistake, he said finally. For you, maybe. For you. His voice was calm, but there was weight behind it. You don't understand what you've stumbled into. Then explain it to me. He leaned back slightly. Meridian Imports is a legitimate business. It also moves money for people who prefer to stay out of the public eye. You mean criminals? I mean people who operate outside the system. He said it like it was a fact, not a confession. The money you flagged was mine. And if you report it, you'll create problems for a lot of dangerous people. Claire's throat tightened. So you're threatening me? No. Dominic's expression didn't change. I'm giving you context. Context. She laughed bitterly. You pulled me into a car and told me I'd be making a mistake. That's a threat. If I wanted to threaten you, Miss Monroe, you'd know it. The way he said it made her blood run cold. She looked out the window. They were driving through downtown, blending into traffic. No one knew where she was. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. I want you to walk away. And if I don't? Dominic was silent for a moment. Then I'll have to protect my interests, he said. And you'll become a complication I can't afford. Claire turned to look at him. You're going to kill me. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Not regret exactly. Something harder to name. I don't want to hurt you, he said. But I will do what's necessary. Claire felt her hands trembling again. She thought about her life. Her apartment. Her cat. Her quiet, boring existence. She thought about doing the right thing. And she thought about dying for it. I need time, she said. Dominic raised an eyebrow. Time for what? To think. He considered this. Then he pulled a phone from his pocket and typed something. The car slowed to a stop. You have 24 hours, Dominic said. After that, I'll assume you've made your choice. The door opened. Claire realized they were back where he'd picked her up. She stepped out onto the sidewalk, her legs unsteady. Dominic leaned forward slightly. One more thing. She turned. Don't run, he said. I'll find you. Then the door closed and the car pulled away. Claire stood there, shaking, as the world moved around her. She had 24 hours to decide if she wanted to live. Would you walk away or fight back? Claire didn't go back to work that day. She went home, locked the door, and sat on her couch for 2 hours without moving. Cooper, her cat, rubbed against her leg. She didn't pet him. Her mind was racing. 24 hours. She could go to the police. Tell them everything. Show them the files. But what would they do? Dominic Kane didn't seem like the kind of man who left evidence lying around. And if he had people inside her company, if Martin was too scared to even talk about it, then he probably had people everywhere. The police might not be able to protect her. Or worse, they might be on his peril too. Claire stood up and started pacing. She thought about running, packing a bag, draining her bank account, and disappearing. But he'd said it himself, don't run. I'll find you. And she believed him. So what did that leave? Walking away. Pretending she never saw anything. Deleting the files. Going back to her quiet life. It would be easy. It would be safe. It would be wrong. Claire stopped pacing and stared at her reflection in the dark TV screen. She didn't recognize herself. When had she become someone who let fear make her decisions? She grabbed her laptop and opened the files again. $3 million. 6 accounts. Fake invoices. It wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was proof. Proof that someone was breaking the law. Proof that Dominic Kane and whoever he worked with thought they were untouchable. And maybe they were. But Claire had something they didn't expect. She wasn't important enough to matter, which meant she was invisible. And invisible people could do things that no one saw coming. The next morning, Claire walked into a small cafe 3 blocks from her apartment. She ordered a black coffee and sat in the corner with her laptop. Then she did something reckless. She started digging deeper. Not to report Dominic. Not yet. But to understand him. She found his name in business registries. Meridian Imports was just one of 12 companies connected to him. Most of them were shipping, logistics, or import-export. All legal on the surface. But the deeper she dug, the more patterns she found. Payments that didn't make sense. Partnerships with overseas companies that didn't seem to do anything. Dominic Kane wasn't just a criminal. He was a ghost. Someone who moved through the world without leaving fingerprints. Claire leaned back and sipped her coffee. She had no idea what she was going to do with this information. But for the first time since yesterday, she didn't feel helpless. She felt dangerous. At exactly 2 p.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach twisted. She answered. "Hello. Time's up, Miss Monroe." Dominic's voice was as calm as ever. Claire's heart started pounding, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm still thinking. That wasn't the deal. The deal was 24 hours. It's been 22. A pause. "You're braver than I thought," Dominic said. "Or more foolish. Maybe both." Another pause. "Meet me tonight," he said. 8 p.m. I'll send you the address." "Why?" "Because I want to hear your decision in person." Claire closed her eyes. "And if I say no, then I'll come to you." The line went dead. Claire sat there, staring at her phone. She had 2 choices. Show up or disappear. But she already knew which one she'd pick. Because Claire Monroe had spent her whole life playing it safe. And look where that got her. The address Dominic sent her was for a warehouse on the south side of the city. Claire pulled up at 7:56 p.m. The building was massive, old brick, broken windows, surrounded by a chain-link fence. A few dim lights flickered inside. This was the kind of place people got killed in movies. Claire sat in her car, gripping the steering wheel. She could still leave. But she didn't. She got out, walked to the fence, and found the gate already open. Inside, the warehouse was cold and hollow. Her footsteps echoed. "Miss Monroe." She spun around. Dominic stood 20 feet away, hands in his coat pockets. He looked the same as before, controlled, unreadable. But this time they were alone. "You came," he said. "You didn't give me much choice." He stepped closer, and Claire forced herself not to back away. "So," Dominic said, "what's your decision?" Claire met his eyes. And then she said the one thing he wasn't expecting. "I want in." Dominic's expression didn't change. But she saw it, just for a second, a flicker of surprise. "In," he repeated. "You said I stumbled into something. Fine. I want to understand it. I want to be part of it." "Why?" "Because walking away won't keep me safe. You and I both know that. If I'm a loose end, I'm a problem. But if I'm useful..." She let the sentence hang. Dominic studied her for a long moment. "You have no idea what you're asking for," he said. "Then show me." He stepped even closer now. Close enough that she could see the sharp line of his jaw, the cold calculation in his eyes. "This isn't a game," Dominic said quietly. "The people I work with don't tolerate mistakes. If you lie to me, if you betray me, you won't get a second chance." "I understand. Do you?" Claire didn't flinch. "Yes." Dominic stared at her. And then for the first time, he almost smiled. "You're either very smart," he said, "or very stupid. Guess you'll find out." He pulled his phone from his pocket and typed something. "1 week," Dominic said. "You work for me. You do exactly what I tell you. If you prove yourself, we'll talk about what comes next. And if I don't, then you disappear." Claire's mouth went dry, but she nodded. Dominic turned and started walking toward the back of the warehouse. "Come on," he said without looking back. "Your training starts now." Claire hesitated for just a second. Then she followed him into the dark. Is this the biggest mistake of her life, or the smartest move she's ever made? Dominic led her through the warehouse to a back office. Inside there was a desk, a laptop, and 2 chairs. He sat down and gestured for her to do the same. "You said you're an accountant," Dominic said. "I am." "Good. Then this should be easy." He turned the laptop toward her. On the screen were spreadsheets, transactions, account numbers. I need you to clean this, Dominic said. Claire leaned forward. Clean it. Make it look legitimate. Spread the payments across different entities. Adjust the dates. Make sure nothing flags. She stared at the screen. This was money laundering. Real money laundering. And he was asking her to do it. Why me? Claire asked. You must have people who do this already. I do. But I need someone I can watch. Someone who doesn't have loyalties to anyone else yet. You mean someone you can control? Dominic didn't deny it. Yes. Claire looked at the screen again. This was the line. Once she crossed it, there was no going back. She thought about her old life. Her boring job. Her safe apartment. She thought about the fear in Martin's eyes when he told her to drop it. She thought about Dominic's voice on the phone. I'll find you. And then she thought about something else. Power. For the first time in her life, someone was giving her access to something that mattered. Something real. It was illegal. It was dangerous. But it was hers. Claire pulled the laptop closer. How much time do I have? She asked. Dominic leaned back. 2 hours. That's not enough. Then work faster. Claire worked in silence. Dominic sat across from her watching. She moved payments, adjusted invoices, split transactions into smaller amounts that wouldn't trigger bank alerts. It was meticulous work. The kind of thing she'd been doing her whole career, just in reverse. At one point, she glanced up and found Dominic still watching her. What? She asked. You're good at this. I know. He almost smiled again. After an hour and 40 minutes, Claire pushed the laptop back toward him. Done. Dominic scanned the spreadsheet. His eyes moved quickly, absorbing everything. Then he closed the laptop. Not bad. Not bad. Claire raised an eyebrow. That was perfect. Confidence. I like that. He stood up. You passed, Dominic said. For now. What happens next? You go home. Tomorrow you quit your job. Claire blinked. What? You can't work for me and work for them. It's a conflict of interest. I need that job. I have rent, bills. I'll pay you double what you're making now. Dominic pulled an envelope from his coat and set it on the desk. Consider this your signing bonus. Claire opened it. There was $10,000 in cash inside. Her hands started shaking again. This is real, she whispered. Yes. She looked up at him. Why are you doing this? Dominic's expression softened, just slightly. Because you didn't run, he said. And because I think you're smart enough to survive this. And if I'm not, then you won't. He walked to the door, then stopped and looked back. One more thing, Claire. It was the first time he'd used her first name. Don't trust anyone, Dominic said. Not even me. Then he left. Claire sat alone in the empty office, staring at the envelope full of cash. She had just made a deal with the devil. And the worst part, she didn't regret it. Claire quit her job the next day. Martin looked relieved. She didn't tell him why. She didn't tell anyone. She just walked out of the office for the last time and never looked back. That night, Dominic sent her a text. Tomorrow, 6 a.m., same warehouse. Claire barely slept. When she arrived the next morning, Dominic was waiting with another man. He was older, maybe mid-50s, with gray hair and a scar across his cheek. He looked at Claire like she was an insect. This is Victor, Dominic said. He runs security. Victor didn't offer his hand. She's the new one, he asked Dominic. Yes. She looked soft. Claire bristled. I'm standing right here. Victor smirked. Soft and mouthy. Dominic stepped between them. Victor, give us a minute. Victor walked away, still smirking. Don't mind him, Dominic said. He doesn't trust easily. Does anyone in your world? No. Dominic handed her a folder. Your first real job, he said. Claire opened it. Inside were photos of a man in his 40s. Businessman. Expensive suit. Smiling in front of a yacht. His name is Richard Hall, Dominic said. He owes me $2 million. And you want me to collect it? No. I want you to find out where he's hiding it. Claire studied the photos. What makes you think I can do that? Because you found my money when no one else did. She looked up at him. This is different. I had access to the accounts. I don't have access to his. Then get access. How? Dominic's eyes were cold. That's your problem. He started to walk away. Wait, Claire said. What happens if I can't find it? Dominic stopped. Then Richard Hall becomes a very unhappy man, he said. And so do I. The message was clear. Fail and people get hurt. Maybe including her. Claire spent the next 3 days buried in research. She barely left her apartment. She drank too much coffee and didn't sleep. But slowly, she started to piece it together. Richard Hall owned a construction company. On paper, it was profitable. But Claire found inconsistencies. Payments to shell companies. Transfers to offshore accounts. He was hiding money the same way Dominic was. Which meant she knew how to find it. On the fourth day, she called Dominic. "I found it," she said. "Where?" "Cayman Islands." Spread across 3 accounts under his wife's maiden name. Silence. "How much?" Dominic asked. 2.4 million. "You're sure?" "Yes." Another pause. "Good work, Claire." She exhaled. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now I pay Richard a visit." "And me?" "You've earned your place." The line went dead. Claire sat back and stared at the ceiling. She'd done it. She'd proven herself. But as the adrenaline faded, something else crept in. Guilt. Richard Hall was about to lose everything. And it was because of her. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Richard Hall. About his family. His life. She told herself he was a criminal. He owed Dominic money. He deserved whatever happened. But it didn't make her feel better. At 2 a.m., her phone buzzed. "Come downstairs." She looked out her window. Dominic's black SUV was parked on the street. Claire pulled on a jacket and went down. He was leaning against the car, hands in his pockets. "Couldn't sleep?" Dominic asked. "How did you know?" "I didn't. I just took a guess." Claire crossed her arms. "Why are you here?" "Because I wanted to see if you'd have regrets." "Do I?" Dominic studied her. "Yes." She didn't deny it. "That's good," he said. Claire frowned. "Good. It means you're not a sociopath." Dominic's voice was quieter now. "The people who don't feel anything are the ones you have to worry about." "Is that supposed to make me feel better?" "No. It's supposed to remind you that you're still human." They stood in silence for a moment. "What happened to Richard Hall?" Claire asked. "He paid." "That's it." "That's it." Claire exhaled slowly. "You thought I'd kill him," Dominic said. "Didn't you threaten to?" "I threatened to make him unhappy." "There are worse things than death, Claire." She looked at him. "Like what?" Dominic didn't answer. Instead, he opened the car door. "Get in." "Why?" "Because I want to show you something." Claire hesitated. Then she got in. What is he about to show her? And why now? They drove for 30 minutes in silence. Claire watched the city lights fade as they headed toward the outskirts. Finally, Dominic pulled into an empty parking lot overlooking the lake. He turned off the engine. "Why are we here?" Claire asked. Dominic stared out at the water. "Because this is where it started." "Where what started?" He didn't answer right away. Then he spoke. 15 years ago, I was a different person, Dominic said. I worked in finance. Had a wife. A daughter. Claire's breath caught. She hadn't expected this. We lived in the suburbs. Normal life. I thought I was doing everything right. He paused. Then I found out the company I worked for was laundering money for a crime family. I didn't know what to do. So I went to the FBI. Claire's eyes widened. I became an informant, Dominic continued. Wore a wire. Gathered evidence. I thought I was a hero. His voice turned bitter. 2 weeks before the arrests were supposed to happen, someone found out. Someone inside the FBI leaked my name. Claire's stomach dropped. They came to my house at night, Dominic said quietly. I wasn't home. I was meeting with my handler. He stopped. Claire didn't want to hear the rest. But she needed to. When I got back, Dominic said, they were already dead. My wife. My daughter. Both of them. His voice didn't shake. But Claire could hear the weight of it. The silence stretched between them. I'm sorry, Claire whispered. Dominic finally looked at her. I joined them after that, he said. The same people who killed my family. I made myself useful. Worked my way up. And now I run half of what they built. Why? Because I wanted to understand them. I wanted to learn how they think. How they operate. And then what? Revenge? Dominic's smile was cold. Revenge would be too quick. Claire stared at him. This man, this dangerous, controlled man, had once been someone else. Someone good. And the world had destroyed him. Why are you telling me this? Claire asked. Because you asked me earlier if you could trust me, Dominic said. The answer is no. But I want you to understand why. You think you're protecting me. I think I'm being honest with you. Claire looked out at the water. I'm not going to end up like them, she said. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Dominic turned to face her fully. You're in this now, Claire. There's no going back. The people I work with, they don't retire. They don't quit. They either die or disappear. Then I'll disappear. Not if I need you. The words hung in the air. Claire's pulse quickened. Is that a threat? It's a fact. She met his eyes. You said you don't trust me. But you need me. Yes. That doesn't make sense. Dominic's gaze softened, just barely. Neither do you, he said. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Dominic started the car. I'm taking you home, he said. Claire didn't argue. But as they drove back through the city, she couldn't stop thinking about what he'd told her. Dominic Kane wasn't just a criminal. He was a ghost haunted by the living. And somehow, she was part of his world now. Can she survive it, or will she become another ghost too? 2 weeks passed. Claire did 3 more jobs for Dominic. All of them clean. All of them successful. She was good at this. Better than she expected. The money helped. She'd made more in 2 weeks than she had in 6 months at her old job. But it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the feeling. For the first time in her life, Claire felt like she mattered. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was essential. And Dominic was starting to trust her. He called her more often. Asked her opinion. Let her sit in on meetings. Victor still hated her. But even he had stopped calling her soft. Everything was going perfectly. Until it wasn't. It happened on a Thursday night. Claire was at home when her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? Miss Monroe? The voice was unfamiliar. Male. Calm. Who is this? Claire asked. A friend. I don't have friends I don't know. The man chuckled. Smart. Dominic chose well. Her blood went cold. What do you want? I want to give you some advice, the man said. Get out. Now. Before it's too late. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You're working for Dominic Kane. And that makes you a target. Claire's hands started shaking. Who are you? Someone who's seen this before. Dominic gets close to people. He makes them feel important. And then he uses them until there's nothing left. That's not. He killed his last accountant, the man interrupted. Did he tell you that? Claire froze. Her name was Sarah. She lasted 8 months. Then she made a mistake. A small one. And Dominic decided she was a liability. I don't believe you. You don't have to believe me. But ask yourself, why would a man like Dominic Kane keep you around unless you're useful? And what happens when you stop being useful? The line went dead. Claire sat there, staring at her phone. Her mind was racing. Was it true? Had Dominic killed someone before? She thought about the way he talked. The coldness in his eyes. There are worse things than death. She grabbed her laptop and started searching. Sarah. Accountant. Chicago. It took her 20 minutes, but she found it. A news article from 9 months ago. Woman found dead in apparent suicide. Sarah Jennings. 29 years old. Accountant. The article said she jumped from her apartment building. But Claire knew better. She knew how these things worked now. People didn't just disappear. They were made to disappear. The next morning, Claire didn't answer when Dominic called. She needed time to think. But at noon, there was a knock on her door. She looked through the peephole. It was him. Claire's heart pounded. She opened the door slowly. Dominic stood there, hands in his pockets, expression unreadable. You didn't answer your phone, he said. I was busy. Busy avoiding me. Claire didn't deny it. Dominic stepped inside without asking. He looked around her apartment, then turned to face her. What happened? He asked. Nothing. Don't lie to me, Claire. She crossed her arms. Someone called me last night. They told me to get out. Dominic's expression darkened. What did they say? That you killed your last accountant. Silence. Dominic didn't deny it. And that was answer enough. Claire felt her stomach twist. So it's true, she whispered. Dominic stepped closer. What else did they tell you? That I'm next. And you believe them? I don't know what to believe. Dominic stopped a few feet away from her. Her name was Sarah, he said quietly. And yes, she worked for me. Claire's throat tightened. But I didn't kill her, Dominic continued. She stole from me. $500,000. And when I found out, she ran. And someone else got to her first. His voice was cold. The people I work for don't tolerate theft. I tried to protect her. I told her to disappear. She didn't listen. Claire stared at him. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to use your brain. Dominic's eyes locked onto hers. If I wanted you dead, Claire, you'd already be dead. I wouldn't call you. I wouldn't train you. I wouldn't be standing in your apartment right now explaining myself. He was right. And she hated that he was right. Who called me? Claire asked. I don't know yet, but I will. They knew about Sarah. They knew I was working for you. Which means someone's watching. Dominic pulled out his phone. Pack a bag. What? You're not safe here anymore. Not until I find out who's targeting you. Claire's heart started racing again. I'm not going anywhere with you. Yes, you are. You can't just. Claire. His voice cut through her panic. Listen to me. Whoever called you last night wants you scared. They want you to run or turn against me. Either way, it makes you vulnerable. And going with you doesn't. Going with me keeps you alive. She wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him to leave. But deep down, she knew he was right. Someone was playing a game. And she was the piece they were trying to move. Claire looked at Dominic. He was dangerous. Possibly a killer. But right now, he was the only person offering to protect her. How long? She asked. As long as it takes. Claire closed her eyes. Then she went to pack. Dominic drove her to a house outside the city. It was hidden behind a line of trees, surrounded by empty land. Private. Isolated. The kind of place no one would find unless they knew where to look. Inside, it was surprisingly comfortable. Modern furniture. Clean. A kitchen stocked with food. You've done this before, Claire said. Yes. How many people have you hidden here? Enough. Dominic set her bag down and checked the windows. No one knows about this place except me and Victor, he said. You'll be safe. For how long? Until I find who made that call. Claire sat down on the couch. Her hands were still shaking. Dominic noticed. You want a drink? He asked. No. You sure? I want answers. Dominic poured himself whiskey and sat across from her. What do you want to know? Everything. Claire leaned forward. Who are these people you work for? What do they want? And why would someone try to scare me away from you? Dominic took a slow sip. The organization I work for doesn't have a name, he said. It's old. Powerful. Built on relationships that go back decades. The Mafia. That's a simplification. But yes. And you're part of it. I'm part of it because I made myself indispensable. Dominic's voice was measured. I control their money. I move it. I clean it. I make sure it's untraceable. And if you stopped, everything collapses. Claire processed this. So you have power. I have leverage. There's a difference. Then who would want me gone? Dominic set down his glass. There are people inside the organization who don't like how much control I have, he said. They think I'm too independent, too unpredictable. And bringing me in made it worse. Yes. Claire felt a chill. Because I'm an outsider. Because you're someone I chose. Not someone they approved. She stood up and started pacing. So what happens now? I just hide here forever? No. I find who's moving against me. And I deal with it. Deal with it how? Dominic's eyes went cold. However I need to. Claire stopped pacing. She looked at him, really looked at him. This man had lost everything once. And he'd rebuilt himself into something harder. Something unbreakable. But underneath it all, she could see the cracks. The weight he carried. The ghosts he couldn't outrun. You don't trust anyone, do you? Claire said quietly. Dominic met her gaze. No. Not even me. Especially not you. Then why protect me? He was silent for a long moment. Because I'm tired of people dying around me, he said finally. The vulnerability in his voice caught her off guard. For the first time, Claire saw him as something other than a threat. She saw him as human. I'm not going to die, she said. You don't know that. Neither do you. Dominic almost smiled. No, I don't. They sat in silence. And for the first time since this all started, Claire felt something shift between them. Not trust, but understanding. Is he really protecting her? Or is this part of a bigger game? 3 days passed. Claire stayed in the safe house. She read. She cooked. She tried not to think about the fact that her entire life had been upended. Dominic came and went. He didn't tell her where he was going or what he was doing. But each time he came back, he looked more tense. On the 4th night, Claire was making dinner when she heard the front door open. Dominic, she called out. No answer. She set down the knife and walked toward the living room slowly. Dominic was standing by the window, staring out at the dark. What happened? Claire asked. He didn't turn around. I found who made the call, he said. Claire's pulse quickened. Who? His name is Marcus. He's been with the organization for 20 years. He thinks I'm getting too comfortable, too powerful. What does he want? He wants me gone. And he's using you to make it happen. Claire's stomach dropped. How? Dominic finally turned to face her. He's going to tell the others you're a federal informant, he said. That you're feeding information to the FBI. That's insane. I'm not. It doesn't matter if it's true. If they believe it, they'll kill you. And when I try to protect you, they'll see it as proof I've gone soft. Claire felt the room spin. So what do we do? Dominic's jaw tightened. I deal with Marcus. You mean kill him? He didn't deny it. And if you do that? Claire asked. Won't that prove you've gone rogue? Yes. Then you can't. There's no other option. There's always another option. Dominic stepped closer. Not in my world. Claire met his eyes. Then change your world. He stared at her like she'd just spoken a foreign language. You think it's that simple? No. But I think you're smarter than this. Dominic's expression hardened. You don't understand. I understand that killing Marcus will start a war, Claire interrupted. And we'll both end up dead. So what do you suggest? Claire thought fast. We prove I'm not an informant. We give them evidence. Bank records. Communications. Proof that I'm exactly what I say I am. They won't believe it. Then we make them believe it. Dominic studied her. You want to walk into a room full of people who want you dead and convince them you're loyal? Yes. That's suicide. So is killing Marcus. Dominic was silent. Then he laughed, a low, bitter sound. You're either brilliant or insane. Maybe both. He shook his head. This won't work. You don't know that. Yes, I do. These people don't negotiate. They don't listen to reason. Then what do they listen to? Dominic looked at her for a long moment. Power, he said quietly. Claire felt something click into place. Then show them power, she said. Show them I'm an asset. That I'm more valuable alive than dead. How? Give me something big. A job they can't refuse. Something that proves I'm committed. Dominic's eyes narrowed. You're serious. Completely. He turned away, thinking. When he looked back, there was something new in his expression. Respect. There's a shipment coming in next week, Dominic said. $50 million in diamonds. It needs to be moved through 3 different countries and 6 different accounts without triggering any alarms. And you want me to do it. If you pull this off, they'll have no choice but to accept you. And if I don't, then we both die. Claire swallowed hard. This was it. The point of no return. When do I start? She asked. Dominic almost smiled. Tomorrow. The next 5 days were the most intense of Claire's life. She worked 18-hour days. Barely slept. Lived on coffee and adrenaline. Dominic brought her everything she needed. Account information, shipping manifests, contact lists. She built a network. Created shell companies. Routed payments through banks in Switzerland, Singapore, and the Cayman Islands. It was the biggest job she'd ever done. And if she made one mistake, everything would collapse. On the 6th day, Dominic came to the safe house at midnight. It's done, Claire said before he could ask. She showed him the final routing. $50 million. Moved through 12 different entities. Clean. Untraceable. Dominic scanned the documents. Then he looked at her. This is perfect, he said. Claire exhaled. She hadn't realized how much she'd been holding in. So what now? She asked. Now we present it to them. When? Tomorrow night. There's a meeting. All the key players will be there. Claire's stomach twisted. And Marcus? He'll be there too. What if he tries something? Dominic's expression went cold. Then I'll handle it. Claire wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him there had to be another way. But she knew there wasn't. This was the world they lived in now. What do I need to do? She asked. Walk in with me. Stay calm. Answer their questions. And don't show fear. That's it. That's everything. The next night, Dominic picked her up at 7. He was wearing a black suit. Claire wore a simple dress, professional, understated. They didn't speak during the drive. When they arrived, Claire realized they were at a private club downtown. The kind of place that didn't advertise. That most people didn't know existed. Dominic led her inside. The room was filled with men in expensive suits. They stopped talking when Claire entered. All eyes turned to her. She forced herself to stand tall. Dominic placed a hand on her lower back, barely touching, but grounding. Gentlemen, Dominic said. This is Claire Monroe. She's the one who handled the diamond shipment. A man in his 60s stepped forward. He had silver hair and a sharp, calculating gaze. Claire, he said. I'm Vincent. I run operations in the Midwest. Claire nodded. Nice to meet you. Is it? Vincent's smile didn't reach his eyes. Because I hear you're a problem. Claire's pulse spiked, but she kept her voice steady. I hear the same thing about you. Several men laughed. Vincent's smile faded. Then another man stepped forward. Marcus. He was younger than Claire expected, maybe early 40s, athletic build, cold eyes. She's got nerve, Marcus said. I'll give her that. She's got more than nerve, Dominic said. She just moved $50 million without leaving a trace. Can you say the same? Marcus's jaw tightened. Vincent raised a hand. Enough. Let's see the work. Dominic handed him the documents. The room fell silent as Vincent read. Claire could feel every eye on her. Finally, Vincent looked up. This is impressive, he admitted. It's more than impressive, Dominic said. It's flawless. Marcus stepped forward. Or it's a setup. How do we know she's not feeding this information to the feds? Because if she was, Dominic said calmly, we'd all be in handcuffs right now. That's not proof. Then what would convince you, Marcus? The room went still. Marcus stared at Dominic. I want her to prove her loyalty, Marcus said. How? Marcus smiled. I want her to kill someone. Claire's blood ran cold. Dominic stepped forward. Absolutely not. Why? Marcus challenged. If she's one of us, she should be willing to do what's necessary. She's an accountant, not an enforcer. Then she's useless. Dominic's hand moved toward his coat. But Claire spoke first. I'll do it. Everyone turned to stare at her. Dominic's eyes widened. Claire. If that's what it takes to prove I'm committed, Claire said, her voice steady. Then I'll do it. Marcus's smile widened. Good. There's a man named Peter Cross. He's been skimming from our operations for 6 months. He needs to be dealt with. Claire's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst. But she nodded. When? She asked. You have 48 hours. Marcus turned and walked away. The meeting dissolved. Dominic grabbed Claire's arm and pulled her outside. What the hell are you doing? He hissed. What I have to. You can't kill someone, Claire. You're not. I know. She looked at him. But they don't need to know that. Dominic stared at her. And then he understood. You're going to fake it. Yes. That's insane. You have a better idea? He didn't answer. Because they both knew there was no other way. Claire had just bet her life on a bluff. And in 48 hours, she'd find out if she was smart enough to pull it off. Can she fake a murder and survive, or has she finally gone too far? They drove back to the safe house in silence. When they got inside, Dominic poured himself a drink. Claire sat on the couch, trying to stop her hands from shaking. Talk me through it, Dominic said finally. Talk you through what? Your plan. How are you going to fake killing someone? Claire took a breath. Peter Cross. Who is he? Small-time operator. He's been skimming shipments and selling them on the side. Marcus has wanted him gone for months. Is he dangerous? Not particularly. He's scared. He knows he's been caught. Claire thought fast. Then we use that, she said. We find him. We tell him what's happening. And we offer him a way out. What kind of way out? He disappears. We fake his death. I bring back proof. Everyone thinks he's dead, and Marcus has no reason to doubt me. Dominic leaned against the wall. And how do we fake a death convincingly enough to fool people who've seen real bodies? I don't know yet, but we have 48 hours to figure it out. Dominic ran a hand through his hair. This is the stupidest plan I've ever heard. Do you have a better one? Yes. We run. Both of us. Tonight. Claire stood up. And then what? We spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. Better than dying. I'm not running, Dominic. Why not? Because I'm tired of being powerless. Her voice cracked slightly. My whole life I've played it safe. Done what I was told. Let other people make decisions for me. And where did that get me? She stepped closer. For the first time, I have a choice, Claire said. And I'm choosing to fight. Dominic stared at her. Then he set down his glass. All right, he said quietly. Then we do this right. They found Peter Cross the next morning. He was hiding in a motel on the edge of the city. Dominic had contacts everywhere. When they knocked on the door, Peter answered with a gun in his hand. Easy, Dominic said, raising his hands. We're not here to hurt you. Bullshit. Peter was sweating. Mid-30s, thinning hair, eyes darting between them. Marcus sent you. Marcus wants you dead, Claire said. We're here to offer you something better. Peter lowered the gun slightly. What? A new life. New identity. Enough money to disappear and never come back. In exchange for what? Your death. Peter blinked. What? Dominic stepped forward. We need people to think you're dead. You help us stage it, and we get you out of the country. Tonight. Peter looked between them. Why would you do that? Because it solves both our problems, Claire said. You get to live. I prove my loyalty. Everyone wins. Peter was quiet for a long moment. How? He asked. They worked out the details over the next 12 hours. Peter would die in a car accident. Dominic had a contact at the city morgue who could fake the paperwork. They'd stage it on an empty road outside the city. Burn the car. Plant Peter's ID and personal effects. By the time anyone checked, Peter would be on a plane to Costa Rica with a new passport and $50,000. It was risky, but it was possible. That night, they drove to the location. Peter sat in the back seat, silent and terrified. You're doing the right thing, Claire said. Am I? Yes. They reached the abandoned stretch of road. Dominic had already positioned the car, a stolen sedan that matched Peter's vehicle. This is it, Dominic said. Peter got out slowly. He looked at Claire. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Just run. And don't look back. Peter nodded. Dominic handed him an envelope. Your new documents. Plane leaves in 2 hours. Peter took it with shaking hands. Then he walked away into the dark. Claire watched him go. You think he'll make it? She asked. I think he has a better chance than he did this morning. Dominic pulled out a lighter and a bottle of accelerant. Together, they staged the scene. They poured the accelerant, placed Peter's wallet and phone inside, set the car on fire. The flames lit up the night sky. Claire stood there watching. She'd just committed to a lie that could get her killed. But she felt strangely calm. No turning back now, Dominic said. No, Claire agreed. There's not. The next morning, they drove to the club. Vincent and Marcus were already there. Well, Marcus asked. Claire handed him a folder. Inside were photos of the burned car. The police report. The coroner's preliminary findings. Peter Cross. Dead. Apparent accident. Marcus studied the documents. Then he looked at Claire. You did this yourself? Yes. How? I ran him off the road. Watched him burn. It was a lie. But she said it like it was the truth. Marcus stared at her. Then he smiled. Welcome to the family, Claire. After the meeting, everything changed. Claire wasn't an outsider anymore. She was one of them. The jobs got bigger. The money got better. And Dominic started treating her differently. Not as someone he needed to protect, but as an equal. They spent more time together, working late, sharing meals, small moments that felt almost normal. One night, they were at the safe house reviewing accounts when Dominic asked her a question. Do you regret it? Claire looked up. Regret what? All of this. The choices you've made. She thought about it. No, she said honestly. I don't. Even though you've become someone you never thought you'd be. Maybe I was always this person. I just needed a reason to find out. Dominic studied her. You're dangerous, Claire. Good. He almost smiled. Then his phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression darkened. When? He asked. A pause. I'll handle it. He hung up. What happened? Claire asked. Peter Cross was just spotted in Miami. Claire's stomach dropped. That's impossible. He was supposed to go to Costa Rica. He got greedy. Tried to sell information about us to a rival group. Dominic. They killed him an hour ago. The room went silent. So he really is dead now, Claire whispered. Yes. She felt sick. This is my fault. No. It's his. Dominic's voice was hard. I gave him a way out. He chose not to take it. But Claire couldn't shake the guilt. She'd tried to save him. And he'd died anyway. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She stood on the porch of the safe house, staring out at the dark. The door opened behind her. Dominic stepped out. You should rest, he said. I can't. He stood beside her. They didn't speak for a long time. Then Dominic said something that surprised her. I'm sorry. Claire looked at him. For what? For dragging you into this. You didn't drag me. I chose this. Did you? Or did I give you no other choice? Claire turned to face him fully. You gave me a choice the day we met, she said. Walk away or stay. I stayed. And now you're stuck. Maybe. But I'm alive. And I matter. That's more than I had before. Dominic looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time, she saw something other than control in his eyes. She saw want. Not the kind that demanded. The kind that hesitated. You should go inside, Dominic said quietly. Why? Because if you stay out here, I'm going to do something I'll regret. Claire's heart started racing. She knew what he meant. And she knew she should walk away. But she didn't. What if I don't want you to regret it? She whispered. Dominic's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel the heat of him. "This is a mistake," he said. "Probably. It'll complicate everything." "I know." He raised his hand slowly and brushed a strand of hair from her face. The touch was so gentle it made her ache. "Tell me to stop," Dominic whispered. Claire looked up at him, and then she said the only thing that mattered. "No." Dominic kissed her. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was slow, careful, like he was afraid she might break. Claire kissed him back, her hands sliding up to his chest. For a moment, the world disappeared. There was no danger, no lies, no blood, just them. When they finally pulled apart, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. "This changes everything," he said. "I know. Are you sure?" Claire smiled. "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Dominic laughed, a real laugh, soft and unexpected. Then he kissed her again. And for the first time in a long time, Claire felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. But can love survive in a world built on lies? Or will it destroy them both? The next 3 weeks were the best and worst of Claire's life. During the day they worked, moving money, managing operations, keeping the organization running. At night, they were something else. Something neither of them could name. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was close. Dominic was different when they were alone. Softer. Almost vulnerable. He told her things he'd never told anyone. About his daughter. About the guilt he carried. And Claire told him about her own ghosts. The loneliness. The fear of being forgotten. They understood each other in a way that felt dangerous. Because understanding led to attachment. And attachment led to weakness. But neither of them could stop. Then Marcus made his move. It happened during a meeting. Vincent called everyone together. Said there was a problem. When Claire and Dominic arrived, the room was tense. Marcus stood at the head of the table, smiling. "We have a leak," Marcus announced. Everyone went still. "Someone's been feeding information to the feds," Marcus continued. "And I know who it is." He looked directly at Claire. Her blood went cold. "That's ridiculous," Dominic said. "Claire's been vetted. She's proven herself." "Has she?" Marcus pulled out a folder. "Because I have bank records showing payments from an FBI account to an offshore account in her name." He slid the folder across the table. Vincent opened it. Claire's heart was pounding. "This is fake," she said. "I've never seen that account before." "Of course you'd say that." Marcus's smile widened. "But the evidence doesn't lie." Dominic stood. "This is a setup. You planted that account. Prove it." "I don't have to." Claire's work speaks for itself. "Her work?" Marcus laughed. "Or your feelings for her?" The room went silent. Vincent looked at Dominic. "Is that true? Are you involved with her?" Dominic hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. "I knew it," Marcus said triumphantly. "He's been compromised. And so has she." "This is bullshit," Claire said, standing. "I'm not an informant." "Then explain the account." "I can't. Because I didn't create it." "You did." Marcus's eyes flashed. "Careful, Claire. Accusations like that can get you killed. So can lying." Vincent raised his hand. "Enough." He looked at the documents again. Then he looked at Claire. "I want an independent audit," Vincent said. "Every account. Every transaction. If you're clean, you have nothing to worry about. And if the audit takes weeks?" Dominic demanded. "What happens to her in the meantime?" Vincent's expression was cold. "She stays under watch. No contact with anyone outside this room. No access to our systems. You're putting her in prison. I'm protecting our interests." Dominic's hand moved toward his coat. But Claire grabbed his arm. "Don't," she whispered. He looked at her. And she saw it in his eyes. He was ready to burn everything down for her. But that would only prove Marcus right. "I'll do the audit," Claire said. "I have nothing to hide." Vincent nodded. "Then it's settled." Marcus smiled. And Claire knew. This wasn't about the money. This was about destroying Dominic. And she was the weapon Marcus was using to do it. They took her that night. Not to a cell, but to a hotel room with guards outside. Dominic wasn't allowed to see her. Claire sat on the bed, staring at the wall. She'd known this was coming. Marcus had been planning this for weeks. The fake account. The accusations. All of it designed to turn the organization against her. And it was working. 3 days passed. Claire barely slept. On the 4th day, the door opened. Vincent walked in. "The audit's complete," he said. Claire stood. "And? You're clean. Every account checks out." The offshore account was created using stolen credentials. Relief flooded through her. So I'm free to go? Vincent's expression didn't change. Not exactly. Claire's stomach dropped. What do you mean? Marcus is dead. The room spun. What? Dominic killed him last night. Shot him in his own home. Claire couldn't breathe. Where is he? Gone. He disappeared after the killing. He wouldn't just. He left you a message. Vincent handed her a folded piece of paper. Claire opened it with shaking hands. I'm sorry. I couldn't let them hurt you. Don't look for me. D. Tears stung her eyes. He threw everything away, Vincent said quietly. For you. Claire looked up. What happens now? Now we find him. And when we do, we kill him. No. This isn't a negotiation, Claire. Dominic killed one of ours. There are consequences. He did it to protect me. And that's exactly why he has to die. Vincent's voice was hard. Love is a weakness in this world. And Dominic just proved it. He walked to the door. You're free to go, Vincent said. But if you help him, if you contact him, if you so much as think about warning him, you'll die too. Then he left. Claire stood there alone. Dominic had saved her, and destroyed himself in the process. She had two choices. Walk away and live, or find him and risk everything. Claire knew what she had to do. She packed a bag, drained her bank account, and disappeared into the night. She was going to find Dominic, even if it killed her, because love wasn't a weakness. It was the only thing worth fighting for. It took Claire 2 weeks to find him. She followed rumors, whispers, patterns in financial transactions that only she would recognize. And finally, she tracked him to a small cabin in Montana. Middle of nowhere, exactly where a ghost would hide. She parked her car and walked up to the door. It opened before she could knock. Dominic stood there looking older, tired, but alive. You shouldn't be here, he said. I know. They'll kill you if they find out. I know. Dominic stepped aside. Claire walked in. The cabin was small, simple. A fireplace, a single bedroom, a place to disappear. How did you find me? Dominic asked. You taught me too well. He almost smiled. Then his expression fell. I'm sorry, Claire. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. I'm sorry I made you into something you weren't supposed to be. You didn't make me into anything. Claire stepped closer. I chose this. All of it. And look where it got you. It got me here. With you. Dominic looked at her. We can't go back, he said. You know that, right? There's no returning to that world. No fixing this. I don't want to go back. Then what do you want? Claire reached out and took his hand. I want this. Whatever this is. For as long as we have. Dominic pulled her close, and he kissed her like it was the last time. Maybe it was. But in that moment, nothing else mattered. They stayed in the cabin for 3 months. No phones. No internet. No contact with the outside world. Just them. They cooked together. Read books. Sat by the fire. They talked about the past. About the choices they'd made. And slowly they started to heal. Not completely. Some wounds never fully close. But enough. Enough to remember what it felt like to be human. Then one morning, Claire woke up alone. She found a note on the kitchen table. They found me. I'm leading them away from you. Don't follow. Live, Claire. That's all I ever wanted. D. She ran outside. His car was gone. Claire stood there, shaking. She could follow him. She could try to help. But she knew Dominic. He wouldn't let her die for him. He'd made sure of that. 2 days later, Claire heard the news. Dominic Kane found dead. Shootout with unknown assailants. No body recovered. Claire stared at the screen. No body. Which meant he could still be out there. Or it meant he was really gone. She'd never know. 6 months later, Claire was living in a small town in Oregon. New name. New life. She worked as a bookkeeper for a local business. Quiet. Simple. Safe. Exactly what she'd run from before. But this time it felt different. Because she'd chosen it. One evening, she was closing up the shop when she noticed something. An envelope slipped under the door. No name. No return address. She opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper. And on it, in handwriting she'd recognize anywhere. Thank you for teaching me how to live again. Claire's hands started shaking. She looked out the window. There was no one there. Just the empty street. The fading light. But her heart was pounding. She read the note again. And again. It could be a trick. Someone from the organization testing her. Or it could be real. Claire folded the note carefully and put it in her pocket. She locked up the shop and walked home through the quiet streets. When she got to her apartment, she poured herself a glass of wine and sat by the window. She thought about everything. The woman she used to be. The woman she'd become. The choices. The lies. The blood. And Dominic. Always Dominic. She didn't know if he was alive. She didn't know if she'd ever see him again. But for the first time in her life, Claire understood something important. Love wasn't about certainty. It wasn't about safety or happy endings. It was about the moments in between. The quiet conversations. The shared silences. The way someone could see every broken piece of you and still choose to stay. Even if staying meant leaving. Even if loving meant letting go. Claire finished her wine and looked out at the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, maybe Dominic was looking at the same sky. Maybe he was thinking about her too. Or maybe he really was gone. She'd never know for sure. But she had this life, this freedom, this chance to be someone new. And that was enough. A year passed. Then another. Claire built a life in Oregon. Made friends. Started dating a kind man who owned a coffee shop. It was normal. Peaceful. Everything she'd never thought she wanted. But sometimes, late at night, she'd take out that note and read it. And she'd wonder. Then one day, everything changed. Claire was at the farmer's market on a Sunday morning. She was buying tomatoes when she felt it. That old familiar feeling. Someone watching. She turned slowly. And there, across the market, standing by a flower stand, was a man in a dark coat. Tall. Dark hair. He was too far away to see clearly. But something about the way he stood. Claire's heart stopped. The man looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Claire stood frozen. It couldn't be. Could it? She left her groceries and ran, pushing through people, searching. But he was gone. She stood in the middle of the market, breathing hard. Had she imagined it? Was she seeing ghosts? Or was he really there? That night, Claire couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the man at the market. The way he stood. The way he'd looked at her. It felt like Dominic. But it could have been anyone. At 2 a.m., she got out of bed and went to her window. And that's when she saw it. A black car parked across the street. Engine off. Lights off. Someone sitting in the driver's seat. Claire's pulse quickened. She grabbed her jacket and went downstairs. Walked across the street. The car window rolled down. And there he was. Dominic. Older. A scar on his cheek that wasn't there before. But alive. Definitely alive. "Hi," he said quietly. Claire couldn't speak. She just stared at him. "You're real," she finally whispered. "Yeah, you're alive." "Barely. But yes." Tears filled her eyes. "Why didn't you come back?" "Because I needed to make sure you were safe first. That they weren't watching you anymore." "And are they?" "No. It took 2 years, but I made sure of it." Claire wiped her eyes. 2 years. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." She laughed through her tears. "You're here now." Dominic looked at her. Really looked at her. "You seem happy," he said. "Different." "I am." "Good. That's good." He started to roll up the window. "Wait," Claire said. "That's it? You came all this way just to check on me?" Dominic paused. "I came to say goodbye," he said. "Properly this time." "Goodbye? You have a life here, Claire. A real one. I saw you at the market. You were smiling. You looked free." "I am free. Because I'm not in it." The words hit her like a punch. "You think you're protecting me by leaving?" "I know I am." Claire stepped closer to the car. "Dominic, I spent 2 years building this life. And it's good. It's safe. It's everything I should want. But it's not complete." He stared at her. "You can't mean that." "I do. Claire, I'm not asking you to stay forever," she said. "I'm not asking you to be something you're not. I'm just asking for the truth." "What truth?" "Do you love me?" The silence stretched between them. Dominic's jaw tightened. "Yes," he said finally. "I do." "Then stop protecting me from you. Stop making decisions for both of us." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." Claire opened the car door and got in. Dominic looked at her, surprised. "What are you doing?" "Making a choice." "Claire." She kissed him. Hard. Desperate. Real. When they pulled apart, Dominic's eyes were closed. "You're going to regret this," he whispered. "Maybe. But I'd regret not doing it more." Dominic opened his eyes. And for the first time in 2 years, he smiled. A real smile. Not controlled. Not guarded. Just happy. "What now?" he asked. Claire looked at him. "Now we figure it out. Together." It won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. Dominic took her hand. You're sure about this? No, Claire admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. He laughed. That seems to be your specialty. I learned from the best. They didn't drive away that night. They sat in the car and talked until sunrise. About everything. About nothing. About what came next. Dominic couldn't stay in Oregon. It was too risky. But Claire couldn't disappear again either. She'd built something here. So they made a plan. Dominic would come when he could. When it was safe. And Claire would live her life. The one she'd fought so hard to build. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a fairy tale. But it was theirs. And that was enough. Claire was closing up the shop when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Look outside. She smiled. Walked to the window. There was a black car parked across the street. Claire grabbed her coat and locked the door. When she got to the car, Dominic was leaning against it, hands in his pockets. How long this time? She asked. A week. Maybe 2. I'll take it. He pulled her close. And they stood there on the street, holding each other. 2 people who'd been broken by the world and somehow found a way to put each other back together. It wasn't a perfect life, but it was real. And in a world built on lies, that was the most dangerous thing of all. Some stories don't end. They just pause. And in those pauses, we find the moments worth living for. The end.